Hi everyone, you're very welcome to this, the third and final instalment of the Whip Hand, a special 75th anniversary commemorative reading. I'd like to thank you for joining us over the last 3 evenings, and if you're tuning in tonight, you're very welcome. An online recording of all 3 acts will be made available shortly. Now, it goes without saying that we would of course prefer to have performed this play on an actual stage, in front of a live audience, properly lit and rehearsed. But this is just our special way of commemorating our 75th anniversary. The Zoom project came together very quickly in a number of days, and I'd like to pay tribute to all of the people involved, the cast, the crew, and GLEESON, and especially Creative Productions for pulling it all together at such short notice. So it just remains for me to say, please sit back, relax, and enjoy the performance.
Well, if it doesn't clear up tomorrow, we'll be in a bad way with the reaper and the binder coming and all. Oh, and that reminds me. Larry, did you tell Carmody to go over to Malloy's to ask what time in the morning the machine will be here?
I didn't, but I'll go up to the Malloy's myself now. 'Twill only be a walk for me. I'm fed up with mooching around here.
Oh, no, you won't. Willie Brannigan said he'd run up for a moment on his way into the meeting. And it would look very nice if, even on the day of the voting, you were elsewhere when he came.
What's the good of my being here? Yourself and Brannigan settle it all between you. This whole campaign is putting years on me. I'm sick of Brannigan leading me from one person to another like a performing bear. And the scream of the whole thing is that even if I had any qualifications, which I haven't, nobody wanted to hear them. Their reasons for backing me or for turning me down have nothing to do with me.
Yeah, 'tis a wonder they wouldn't have a sworn inquiry about qualifications for a job that's just a way of filling in time. If there's soft money been handed out for some mad fagary, shouldn't you be glad to take it? I never saw such a fella. I suppose if you're in the civil service, you'd want to know what that was for too. Sure, the budget won't balance anyway. And you may as well take your whack with the rest. Heaven knows I'm paying my share in taxes to keep other women's sons in clover. Get it out of your head, boy, that jobs have any meaning. There's a lot of cushy jobs going in this country for those who know how to get them.
Why is it so that there aren't enough jobs to go around?
How could there be enough to go around with some having 2 jobs, and even 3?
Mother, isn't there some soft soap around here somewhere? I'm giving a rub up to some of the harnesses since it's too wet to do anything else just now.
There's some in the drawer of the dresser, left-hand side.
Oh, ma'am, Mr. Brannigan is turning the corner of the house.
Very good. Did you chop the cabbage for the pigs yet?
I was just going to do it, ma'am.
Well, I'll be off now. Once Brannigan starts talking, I'll be stuck here. Hello, Willie. Soft day.
'Tis indeed, thank God. Is the doctor inside? God bless ye.
And you too, Willie.
How's the health?
Oh, powerful, Pod, powerful. I'm glad you're here, doctor. There's a few little points.
All set for the meeting, I suppose?
In a manner of speaking.
How did you get Curtin? Is he definite yet?
We've an even chance of him, and that's the most we can say.
Well, if we haven't lost him, there must be some other reason for you being down in the mouth, because down in the mouth you are this minute.
Well, 'tis this way.
You're a cough it up, man.
Well, doctor, I don't know how you'll take me news.
Willie Brannigan, do you want to keep us in torture? If it's bad news, it won't improve by keeping it.
Well, the first part of it is good news. John Mara, our greatest opponent and enemy, won't be voting.
What?
No, ma'am. He's paralysed with the lumbago, I'm glad to say, and has as much chance of coming to the meeting as flying in the air.
Ah, the poor devil. Maybe a touch of a hot iron would put him on his feet.
We don't want him on his feet. We want him where he is, on the flat of his back. That's one up for us then.
As against that, ma'am, I'm sorry to tell you that we've lost one of our men.
Who? Who have we lost?
Tom Carney of Ballymore. Oh, 'tis very misfortunate.
What's very misfortunate?
Well, you know, doctor, I'm afraid you upset poor Tom.
This is terrible, and I thought I was putting myself over in a big way.
And so you were, doctor, to a point. He liked your manner, you know, and he liked your spirit.
He liked my spirit too damn well. Nothing but time, gentlemen, could close any interview with him.
The old soaker. I'll engage he sucked you dry.
And what's his objection to my son, may I ask?
Easy now, ma'am. 'Tisn't an objection he has to your son. The trouble is that he has too much respect for the doctor here, and he went straight into bed after the interview. And when I saw him yesterday, he was still there.
In bed?
Yes, ma'am. And he told me he intended to stay there altogether. He says after what you said to him, it isn't worth his while now to get up.
Oh, may God help me this day. What did you say to that decent man to have him dying just on the very day of the election?
I don't know what I said to him. I've talked so much in the last fortnight that I'm even talking in my sleep. What does Carney accuse me of anyway? It's too bad letting me down like this at the last moment, and so I'll tell him the next time I see him.
I have great doubts you'll ever see him again. It's gone through him terrible, pale as a sheet he is, and his eyes sunk in the back of his head. Mary, says he to the wife when he got home. Make my bed, says he, for young Dr. Fogarty has given me a death sentence.
Me?
I am dying, says he, of cirrhosis of the liver.
I didn't say dying. I said he'd get cirrhosis of the liver if he didn't lay off the booze. That was when I hadn't a red cent left, and he was still putting the stuff away, like a bath filling with both taps on.
Me liver, says he, is as full of holes now as if it was a sponge. And with that, he turned his face to the wall, and not a drop has passed his lips for the last week, but new milk.
Oh, what is it to have a scourge of a son? How will I face Mrs. Carney after this?
Oh, from what I know of Mary Carney, I say she'd give you a clutch of her prize hen eggs the day that Tom's liver gives up the struggle.
God save all here.
Hello, Bernie.
What brings you up here in this rain, child?
Oh, I had to come. I'm glad you're here, Willie, because I've fresh news about the job.
Oh, what now? Good news, I hope. Don't tell me we've lost another vote, for we're nearly down the drain already.
Not another vote gone, Bernie. I couldn't bear it.
And don't mind him. Tell us what it is, and don't be keeping us in suspense.
As I was just setting off to the post office, who should I pass in the trap but Mrs. Carney and Tom?
And Tom?
Good heavens.
Taking him to a specialist.
I'm not surprised.
I see you know something about it already. Well, Aunt Ellie, Mrs. Carney asked me to run up here and bring you a message from her.
I don't blame her, the poor woman. Whatever she said, it wasn't without cause.
You needn't tell us all, she said. An outline will do.
She said, tell Mrs. Fogarty she should be the proud woman and the fine son she reared.
Giving me the dart, and small blame to her.
Tell Dr. Fogarty, she says, I'll never forget it for him. The longest day I live.
Huh, cursing me.
Amn't I telling ye all, only ye won't listen to me, that Mrs. Kearney is raving with gratitude to Larry for his great deed.
My great deed?
Your great deed. Curing her husband of the drink, you silly gomerel. The fine rest in bed and the milk diet have made a new man of him. He had got such a fright he didn't want to get up, but Mrs. Kearney hauled him out, threw him into the car, and when I met them, she was driving him into the meeting to vote for you.
Holy mackerel.
We have it, thanks be to God. Larry, you did the right thing by accident.
This is great news.
Worse still, best of all, Mrs. Kearney says that she knows a way of getting Curtin to vote for you. She was going to catch him before the meeting.
Then Curtin will sway Brady and Burke with him.
We're done. We're done with all our doubts and difficulties. It's a cinch now.
It's a cinch.
Aye, of course. Old Curtin used to be courting Mary Kearney long ago.
I must be going, ma'am, if I'm to be in time.
Have a wee drop, Willie. It'll only take a minute.
Oh, no time for it. I'll barely make the meeting now. I must put a spot on. Wish me luck.
May God send you luck, Willie, and reward you for all you've done.
And may the best horse jump the fence.
I'll come back with the news after the meeting. Keep your hearts up.
Well, I don't think there's much doubt about it now. I must go and see what that girl is doing and get them started for the cows. There wouldn't be milk and that slept out there if I didn't keep an eye on them. Oh, 'tis dry now. You'll get home before the next shower, Bernie.
I'll have a chat with Uncle Pod first.
Oh, that's right. Take a heat at the fire and dry your shoes.
Oh, this is fearful. We are ruined, all three of us. When you came rushing in, full of the joy of spring, I thought for one blissful moment that a miracle had happened and that the voters of Ballyduff had been struck down with the bubonic plague.
'Tis a wonder I didn't come up in deep mourning. Anyway, Larry, it's partly your own fault. You seem to have been too pleasant to your supporters.
Pleasant? I did everything but spit in their faces. It was useless. They were so busy trading votes that they didn't bother their heads about my attitude. The one person I made a definite impression on was Kearney. But what was the result? He proclaims himself my eternal debtor and insists on showing his gratitude by making me an eggman. Well, insofar as I was an obstacle to the Keogh nuptials, all is over. Uncle Pod also did his bit and got chawed to pieces for his pains.
Aye, but 'twas a great fight.
It's up to you now, Bernie. You never told us what you meant to do, but for goodness sake, do it. And if you fail, there's no doubt you will, we will at least be able to say that we tried everything. I'm going out for a breather. I won't be long.
Beaten? Hey,
We might have known it wouldn't work out.
who says it won't work out?
Oh, what's the good of bluffing each other? Larry is right. So much depended on his not getting this rotten job. And sure, now he's bound to get it.
Ah, sure, it might be good for him to do some work, the blackguard.
'Twould be good for him. Of course it would be good for him. And I know he's a scamp. But it's his mother's fault as well as his, spoiling him and pandering to him. My son, the doctor. And then hardening suddenly and throwing him out at the prospect of a rich match for John.
And what about John? Is he another angel, the victim of his mother?
He's afraid of her. He's under her thumb. Obeying her is a habit with him now.
Aye, and he hasn't a bit of interest in Maureen Keogh's fortune.
No, I don't believe he has. Really, if his mother left him free to choose.
Oh, now listen to me, Bernie. Do you want a man who's too weak to fight for you against his mother? Could you make something of a fella who could turn from you to a one like Maureen Keogh, huh? Could you make a man of him?
Yes. Yes. If his mother held her hand. If she could be made to hold her hand, he would choose me. Don't you see his mother has too long of a start on me? She's had the start of me by 30 years, making him to her pattern from the moment he was born. There he is. He's coming in. Don't go away. Uncle Pa, don't leave me.
Ah, no nonsense, girl. This is your chance. And remember one thing. When it comes to a man's love for a woman, mothers are mostly beaten by a neck and a pair of lips.
I thought I heard Uncle Pod.
So you did. He's above in his room.
Uncle Pod in his rooms. He's a great old character. I don't know what this house would be like without him.
The house isn't going to be without him, surely.
Of course it isn't. Anyone would think that I was some sort of bailiff, putting people out on the road.
Ah, cheer up, John. Nobody ever thought you had any say here. Sure, you can't help doing what you're told.
Well, you needn't go out of your way to show me you despise me. I know that already. You don't know what it is to have to consider a house full of people.
Well, you seem to have done your duty. You should be very happy.
Happy? I'm in hell.
What talk is that for a newly engaged man?
I'm not engaged yet. Larry may lose this job.
Indeed, the uncertainty is very hard on you, John. And 'tis hard too on poor Maureen who loves you.
Oh, leave love out of it. She loves the farm, but if I was penniless, it would be a different story.
A very different story. Oh, I agree. But to be penniless would have its advantages, because then someone might love you for yourself alone. Of course, you wouldn't stand much of a chance in Ballyduff. But some nice girl with a soft heart and a good job might come down from Dublin and marry you for love.
So you're marrying Kavanagh then? I thought as much.
If I'm marrying Kavanagh, but that's my own business.
Well, I hope your future will be happier than mine.
Don't lose any sleep over my future, John. And don't expect me to cry over yours. What's wrong with you anyway? Sure, what grievance have you? Do you really expect me to feel sorry for you?
I don't know you, Bernie. You used to be hard like this.
Who are you to know what I was like? I didn't know what you were like either. It's nice to see you sheltering behind your mother and taking, under the pretense of duty, the path in life that best suits you and your own wishes.
That's not true.
It's so true that I'm ashamed of you. The impotence of it. To come whining to me for sympathy, turning your nose up at your future wife with her money bags under your arm. Stick to your bargain like a man, or be quit of it like a man. But for heaven's sake, stop running with the hare and hunting with the hounds.
Very good. I'm glad to know your opinion of me.
Before you go, I'd be glad to know your opinion of me.
My opinion of you? Bernie, I love you. I want to marry you. I've wanted to all along. I never worked out how we could manage it. I simply had it in my mind that it would happen somehow. I'm not like you. I can't think things out clearly. I just drift along. And the next thing I know, I'm up to me neck in a bog hole.
Anyone might fall into a bog hole, but only a fool would stay there.
Do you think I'd stay there if I could see a way out? You do. You think I'm not man enough. Maybe you're right.
John Fogarty, you'd be more of a man if you were less of a son. You didn't fall into a bog hole. Your mother pushed you in. She pushes you in and she's holding you down. So far as I can see, it would take a charge of dynamite to get you out again. Listen to me. I don't want you to choose between your mother and myself. You can have both if you do what I say. Tell me, do you want to be free to manage your own life?
Of course I do.
And which life do you want? The one that's facing you? Or the one that you'd hoped for? Do you want Maureen Keogh or Bernie Regan?
Oh, good Lord. Do you need to ask?
Then you must follow my lead.
But what are you going to do?
The only thing that's left. You must trust me. You must take a chance. Even when it seems to you that all is lost, you must stand firm. Will you back me up? Yes or no?
Yes. Yes, I will, to the last ditch.
Then I'll tackle Aunt Ellie when she comes in.
You mean now? At once? Don't you think you'd better wait a little?
No, I don't. The sooner we get it over with, the better.
Carmody wants to know, sir, would you come out a minute? He says the mayor is walking lame.
Oh, very well. I won't be long, Bernie.
That's all right. You'll be just in the paddocks, won't you, when you're wanted?
Yes, wait for me. I mean...
Don't worry, John. Where's your mother, Larry?
Just outside in the hen house.
Well, if you want to escape, now's your chance, because there's going to be a nasty scene here when she comes in.
So you're taking her on?
I am.
What? This very minute?
This very minute.
Holy mackerel. But where's Uncle Pod?
Upstairs.
We've got to have him in on this. If he arrived after my mother had finished you off, he might fail to identify the body. Uncle Pod, come on down here at once.
What's wrong now? Can't a man have a lie down in this house without being yelled at?
Come down here at once. Bernie's going to tackle my mother.
Oh, so that's it. And where's John? Sloped off, I suppose, huh? Do you know what I think of the young men that's rising up now? I wouldn't rob a bird's nest with them.
What's the plan this time, Bernie? I hope you've thought out something really good, because so far our campaigns have been a series of masterly retreats.
I'm going to face her with the truth.
What truth?
That John loves me.
She knows that already, child.
And that he's asked me to marry him.
Oh, so he's had that much guts? Just now that happened, I suppose?
Yes.
And the next minute I meet him slinking out the door.
Now you're a fine one to talk. When did you ever stand up to anything but a bar counter?
Well, you can't have Superman in the same house as a Superwoman.
Indeed. I've lived in the same house as your mother for the last 32 years, and so far, it's a draw.
I admit that only a most exceptional man like yourself could have stuck it out, but even you couldn't do more than hold your own. What chance has Bernie? She's coming. Oh, Bernie, don't try it. It's hopeless.
I must.
Then may the Lord have mercy.
Well, Bernie, I thought you were gone long ago. Oh, look at the time. The job is half decided by now. It won't be long till Willie Brannigan comes back with the news. Isn't this the day you do your baking, Bernie?
It is. But I wanted to talk to you before going home.
Well, now, I suppose you've had a bit of news for me, eh?
I have.
And I can guess it, child. I can guess it. You're going to tell me about a proposal. That's it. Oh, yes. I can see it in your face in one word. Now, isn't that it all?
Yes. Yeah, that's it. That's it, Aunt Ellie. But how could you know?
I have eyes in my head, I hope. I've seen it coming this past week.
And you didn't mind?
Mind? I'm delighted. I'm really charmed. I'm as pleased as Punch. Kavanagh is a lucky man, and you're lucky too. Very lucky. It isn't every day a girl without a fortune gets a match like that.
Oh, I see. But I'm not talking about Peter Kavanagh, Aunt Ellie, however much you might like to think so. I'm talking of the offer of marriage I've had from your son John.
What's that you say?
You heard what I said. I said that your son John proposed marriage to me.
How dare you? How dare you come to me with such a lie? You hussy. You scheming imposter.
Steady on.
Keep out of this, you.
Aunt Ellie, calling me names won't do me any harm or you any good. You might as well listen to what I have to say, because say it I will.
Don't you address me as your aunt, you treacherous little viper. Oh, if your mother could see you now, she'd turn in her coffin. You that I watched over like my own child, when your cracked old lunatic of a father hardly noticed whether you were alive or dead.
We leave my father out of this. You wouldn't be apt to understand him. He is as good and loving as a father as anyone ever had.
Great love entirely, to be huddled over the fire with the book and the thistles growing through the thatch. That's what has left you as you are.
And it is as I am that John wants me.
Balderdash, boy and girl nonsense. Oh, I saw you running in and out of the house, and you making up to John, and John making sheep's eyes at you. But it would take more than a kiss in the haggard to make you the mistress of this house. That sort of thing may give you a hold over Kavanagh or his like. Men who live in the city and draw so much a week, without a foot in the land or a stake in the country. But let me tell you, my damsel, that this house and this farm were kept in the family for generations by hard work and careful marriages. Put your romancing out of your head. A pretty face doesn't wear as well as a bank deposit.
But if I had Maureen Keogh's deposit account, would you still have her over me?
Here, don't be wasting my time with that sort of play. Don't we know you haven't, and what more's about it?
Still, I'd like to know if you have anything against me except the want of money.
If you had the money, I'd welcome you here with open arms. But as you haven't, I have this against you. That you tried to plough moss John and to have things your own way. But to come to me with your story that he asked you to marry him.
It's true, all the same.
And when did my son make you this grand proposal? Oh, so you haven't had that lie ready. When did he make it, I say?
Today.
Today? And he already engaged to Maureen Keogh? Wash it out, girl. Even if he was fool enough to propose to you, a thing I don't believe, he wasn't free to do it. He was a tied man.
He was a tied man before the Keogh match ever came up. John always meant to marry me.
If he did, why didn't he ever say so to me? Not that it would have made a scrap of difference, because I'd have put a halt to his gallop in double quick time.
He didn't tell you, because you have every ounce of courage crushed out of him, that he wouldn't dare to call his soul his own.
Well, he won't dare to call you his own anyway, and you can swear to that. And tell me another thing. If there was anything between you, why did he fall in with this match the way he did?
Because he was weak. Because he had hoped it would come to nothing. You only had to look at him to see how he hated it. To watch him with Maureen Keogh. You'd think it was buried, not married he was going to be.
Yeah, 'tis a wonder he wasn't singing under her window. You leave my son alone from this on, and keep your nose out of what doesn't concern you.
Doesn't concern me? Didn't your marriage concern you?
My marriage, I'd have you know, was a very different business. I had a fortune that would make any man proud to have me.
And so that's all you can remember about your marriage? That you had a fortune. No wonder you call it a business. No wonder that talking to you is like talking to a stone. Oh, I'm not such a fool to think that you care how I feel. But does John's happiness really mean nothing to you?
Shh, to hear you, anyone would think John would go into a decline after you. God help your head. If you don't know what men are, I do. And I tell you that you could live with a man for 20 years. And work yourself to death for him and his children. And the earth wouldn't be sunk on your coffin when he'd have another in your place. Take it from me, 5 years after marriage, a man is so used to his wife's face that he doesn't really see it anymore. One woman is the same as another to him by that time. And since that's the case, he might as well make a good bargain when he's marrying at all.
If that's your experience of marriage, I won't contradict you. You bought it, and from what you tell me, You gave good price for it. But it isn't the John of 5 years' time you have to convince, but the John of today. The John who loves me. Me! Do you hear? And who wants only me as his wife.
No, wife! I don't believe one word of it. I don't believe he ever asked you to marry him to the trick.
Then call him in and ask him. He's outside in the paddock.
I will ask himself, and I'll ask him this minute. Do you think he'll dare to foist you on top of me? You wait, my lady. I lower your pride before you were a minute older.
That's right, child. Pull yourself together now before the next round starts.
It's only me legs. They keep trembling from under me.
Oh, Bernie, I'd take my hat off to you. I wanted to help you, but there was nothing for me to say.
Keep it up, girl. You're doing fine. You gave as good as you got. Oh, and for God's sake, don't cry whatever you do. Oh, women always ruin a good set to by crying in the middle of it.
There's worse to come. So far, I've only been breaking the news.
Here, she's back. Seconds out of the ring.
Well, he's coming. And now, my girl, we'll see if you're bold enough to say to his face what you've been saying behind his back. You'll find you tied a knot with your tongue that your teeth won't untie.
You wanted me?
I do want you. Come in here. Come in here and defend yourself. Do you know that this girl is scheming to break the match with the Kyo's? Well, do you hear what I'm saying to you? Why don't you answer?
You don't understand, Bernie. You don't know what she is.
I don't know what she is. Oh, no, not at all. She's a harmless little creature that doesn't know what side her bread is buttered on. Do you know the claim she's making here? Over Wright, your uncle, and your brother? She claims that you asked her to marry you. No wonder you're struck dumb. Why? 'Tis such a joke that I wouldn't even ask you to talk of it, only that she won't stop brazening it out. Give her answer, the way that I can show her the door. Tell her she's lying.
She's not lying.
What?
It's the truth. I did ask her to marry me.
Aha! Good man, John.
You did ask her. You have the nerve to stand there and tell me such a thing. You did ask her. And since when were you free to say who you'd marry? What do you think I am? An idiot? What do you expect me to do? Give you me blessing? Here, there's just one question I'd like to ask you. Just one question, if you wouldn't mind answering. Have you ever heard of the Kyo's?
I have, to my cost.
Maybe the name Maureen Kyo is familiar?
Not half so familiar as herself, the vulgar little horror.
Oh, so you're still there. I'll deal with you in a minute. John, so did you hear of Maureen Kyo? Now, I'd have thought you'd have forgotten her. A couple of weeks ago, you pledged yourself to marry her, and today you pledged yourself to marry Bernie Regan. Why stop there when you're committing bigamy and all? It might as well do it in style. This is Ballyduff, not Salt Lake City. But don't let that stand in your way.
I didn't pledge myself to Maureen Kyo. It was yourself fixed all that up.
Very good. I fixed it up and I'll carry it through. I'll never allow you to marry Bernie Regan.
And how can you stop him? You wouldn't stop me if I was in his shoes.
I can stop him, and very easily. I can will this farm away from him, and that's what I intend to do if he marries against my wishes. Now maybe we'll see how much gravel is in all this highfalutin talk. John, is Bernie Regan more important to you than this house and land? If she is itself, it doesn't matter, because it isn't you she wants to marry, but the farm.
Ellie Fogarty, from the day you came into this house as my brother's wife, I never saw eye to eye with you. But all the same, I had a a sort of respect for you. I never thought till now that you were an unjust woman. Even if my brother was so much under your thumb as to leave the place to you, don't you know right well that he meant it to pass on to John?
Did he mean John to make ducks and drakes of it by a foolish marriage? No, I stand by what I said, and it is for John to decide.
Very well then, I will decide. I'm sick of all of it. A man would be better off tramping the roads and putting up with any more of this sort of thing. Keep the house, keep the farm, keep everything. I don't care. I'll do what I said. I'll marry Bernie and have a bit of peace for a change.
Oh, you will?
Yes, I will. If she'll have me.
I'll be proud to have you, John.
I'll engage. And what do you live on?
On my father's farm.
Very nice entirely. 'Tis a grand future for a man to be a labourer on his wife's father's farm.
Oh, not at all. Sure, my father only wants to go on living in the house the way he's always lived. He's only too willing to hand over the farm to the man that I marry.
The farm? Do you call that stretch of weeds a farm?
Oh, I admit, 'tis neglected, but 'tis really good land. It isn't very big now, and of course, no one could compare it to this place. But 'twill be a change for John anyway, and to be working land that he can really call his own. That'll give him the heart to make it prosper, won't it, John?
I'll make it prosper. Be sure of that.
Oh, begar, ma'am. 'Twill be a great advertisement for you altogether. Sure, 'twill be talked of far and wide. The woman who reared her son, a first-rate farmer, and then sent him down to Andy Regan's as an agricultural missionary. I tell you, it isn't every woman would help her neighbour like that now and leave herself stranded without a manager.
I'll manage for myself.
Oh, you could, maybe 10 or 15 years ago, but not now. Yet anyway, a woman can't run a farm without a right-hand man. Still, of course, you could promote Carmody. Or maybe you'd let the place to a dairyman.
I'll let the place to no dairyman. I have a son left.
Who? Me?
Yes, you. You can turn in and run things here now.
What do I know about running a farm?
You'll learn.
But you forget, I'm going to be an egg tester.
Well, you needn't be an egg tester now. I want you here.
Really? Mother, may I respectfully remind you that you are not Aladdin and that I am not the slave of the lamp. You can't go on expecting me to undertake some fresh exploit every time you decide to wish a wish. First you decide that I was to be a doctor. Very well. I went to college, worked like a beaver. Then hey presto, without a word of warning, you decided that I was to be an egg tester. There are sons who would have refused positively to spend the rest of their lives brooding over eggs. But did I flinch? No. Now I am to be a farmer, a gift of a life. Only 23 hours work out of the 24, and the rest of the day is my own. The answer is no. Emphatically, no.
It means nothing to you, so, that you could come in for this place?
Not a thing. Look at John. After all the work he put into the place, it didn't take you 5 minutes to throw him out on his ear. I really couldn't bear the uncertainty of packing and unpacking every time the wind changed. I'm tired of this game of cat and mouse. In fact, I'm through. If I get this foul job of egg tester, I'll take it, but I won't live here.
Indeed. Maybe you forget that there's no hotel in Ballyduff and that you couldn't afford to stay in one if there was. Or maybe you're thinking of lodging in Biddy O'Grady's old shack.
No, actually, I intend to stay at Bernie's if she can fit me in.
Oh, we'll be delighted, Larry. 100,000 welcomes.
Strictly business, of course. So much per week and all that.
Oh, whatever you say. 'Twill be a great help to John and myself.
You'll bear in mind that I'm very partial to a sausage with my tea. I never seem to get him in this house.
Well, well, it seems, ma'am, that there'll be nobody left here but the two of us. I suppose there'd be no room for me down at Regan's. If there was, I'd pack me things in the morning. I've no taste at all for living with a woman that's going to be the laughing stock of the 7 parishes.
And what would make me a laughing stock, pray?
No one knows that better than yourself. The woman who drove her family to water but couldn't make them drink. And you needn't think you'll get any sympathy by telling your mind to people who've been waiting all their lives to see you meet your match. Well, you've met it. Yes, by damn, you've met it, and you deserve it. You always held the whip hand, but you've cracked your whip once too often. God help us, woman. Did it ever strike you that you were cutting a rod to beat yourself? Every time you pass by Regan's, it'll be scalding the heart out of you to see the value of the son that you've lost.
Every time you pass the egg testing place, it will kill you to think that, only for the way you fell out with me, I'd be testing your eggs for nothing.
And so I'm to be trampled on, am I? I'm to be disgraced before everyone? Oh, John, how could you let that girl turn you against your mother?
Mother, I'm not against you. 'Tis you're against me. Bernie never wanted to cause a break. She said she didn't want me to choose between you and her.
And why should she? 'Tis a queer thing if a man can't have a wife and a mother at the same time. If he wants them, that is.
Did Bernie say that? That she didn't want to take you from me?
She did.
Well, mind you, I'm just as much against this match as I ever was. 'Twill be the ruin of all our prospects. But if the two of you are bent on marrying, maybe you'd be better here than down at Regan's old dump.
But you couldn't expect them to settle down in a place that isn't their own.
Well, I'll settle it up at Shay's.
You mean you'll sign the place over to John now?
I do.
Oh, Mother, then it's all right.
Do you mean this, Aunt Ellie?
What can I do between the whole of you? I'm nobody. I'm just an old shoe that you'd throw in a corner. Oh, what a curse was down on me that I never saw it would come to this. Well, 'tis too late now, we're destroyed. £800 of a fortune gone and a penniless girl on the floor to us.
Well, not exactly penniless, ma'am. Andy Regan's must be worth 500, and John can work it as an outside farm.
How am I to face the Kyo's? What can I say to them?
If you're the woman I take you for, you'll see that there's a safe way and an easy way of dealing with the Kyo's.
Very well, I do see it. If the Kyo matches off, I won't give them the style of breaking it. And I won't put it in their power to say that I made a match for my son and he half promised already that it'd make it hot for us that got out. And how would I look except as a cheat or a fool? Now, listen to me, all of you. We must be the one word in this.
Victory, 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 victory. We won. We won. The job is ours. Lay it there, Larry, I was shocked. Lay it there, ma'am. From this day, you can consider yourself the mother of an egg tester. And who did it, Mrs. Fogarty? Willie Brannigan did it. Willie Brannigan, the greatest canvasser the length and breadth of Ireland. When you want a job, you ask Brannigan. Brannigan can't fail. Brannigan is an omnipotent.
Thank you, Willie. Thank you. We'll never forget you for it.
Yes, sorry.
So, you did the work of 10 men to help us.
The other young fella had the wrong kind of canvasser altogether. Poor young fella. He's very caution.
Willie, I don't know how to tell you this, but I must say it once for the sake of the young fella who lost the job. I've changed my mind.
What?
I've changed my mind. Larry will finish his course for a doctor.
Mother, do you mean it?
Yes. Shut up.
Did I hear you, or was I dreaming? No, I've had a little drop in drinking to our victory. You know, just a little drop. And I'm imagining things. Just imagining. I thought I heard you say that Larry was going back to college.
You didn't imagine it, Willie. Larry is going back to college.
I can't thank you enough for what you did for me. We didn't know at the time, but I'd just like to say that...
Get me out of here. Let me out of here. Me that has me feet core ribbons. Core ribbons galloping around the country after me.
Wait a minute, Willie. Sit down and I'll get you something.
Me that will never see the light of heaven with all the lies that I told for me. Me that has given so many promises that you couldn't carry them out, even if you had as many lives as a cat. Me that even concocted a national record with evidence, when at least ye couldn't stop me from winning the election, even though you were the worst material I ever had to work at. I'm an embittered man.
I better go after him and see him safe to the street.
You ought to.
I'll take him into Murphy's and sober him up.
See that you don't come home worse than him.
It's grand, Mother, that you've decided to let Larry finish his course.
Well, why wouldn't I? My own son, and it is father's dying wish that Larry would be a doctor. Let the Kyo's put that in their pipes and smoke it. That finishes the match from our side. A clean cut and no grounds for action.
Very sound, ma'am. Very sound. I knew your brain would come to the surface again when the floods of rage went down.
Mind you, you'll have to wait a bit. If you got married at once, the people would smell a rat.
We'll wait now that we know we can wait safely.
Aunt Ellie, I'll be a good daughter to you. I swear I will.
Why should you be good to me? You'll be able to do what you like when you're mistress here.
But I don't want to be mistress here. Sure, how would I manage without you to show me?
That's true indeed. Well, you can't expect me to take you into me arms just now, but we'll shake down together, I suppose. It's really no harm anyway to have another pair of hands around the house. And one thing I will say to you. You have spirit and you seem ready to learn. What was wrong with that young mare out in the paddock?
Oh, nothing much, just a swollen fetlock.
I must have a look at it. And that girl Nora, I suppose she's been idling all this time.
And now we're in for another stretch of petticoat government.
Going in to record.
3, 2, 1.
We're game.
Say something.
Make the tea while I'm finishing the bread.
Oh, not a drop, man, not a bite.
Best of luck.
No, Mike's off.
She called instead of John.
I had designs on your pod.
3, 2, 1.
Use my acting skills.
Who do you think I am? Einstein.